I wouldn't have thought we were the worst in the world by a long, long way.
I think it's bad how much we drink.
You shouldn't pressure other people to do stuff.
Don't drink enough.
Kids don't drink anywhere near as much now as we used to.
In this video, I'm in Woking asking British people about drinking culture in the UK. Having had so many foreigners say that the most surprising thing about the UK is how much British people drink. Let's see what British people think about the drinking culture here. Let's go. Where are you from?
I'm from Mitchett, Camberley.
So I interview foreigners from all over the UK who are all over the world who are in the UK and ask them about culture shocks. And one of the big culture shock is how much British people drink. What do you think about that?
I think it's bad how much we drink. So I don't drink. I went 3 years sober before, and now I drink kind of socially, but rarely. I don't enjoy it. I think it's a poison, to be honest. And I think because it's socially acceptable, people think it's okay to do it, and people do it to socialise. When actually, I think it's a poison. We shouldn't be doing it. We should look more to health and fitness rather than the alcohol.
Yeah, you look like a fit guy. What do you do?
Man. I'll go to the gym, just train, weight lift and stuff, but I'm injured at the moment.
What made you stop drinking? You said you've been doing it for like most of your life, I take. When did you first start drinking alcohol?
Young age. Couldn't tell you when, probably 14, 15, back in the parks like it is when you're that age, that generation sort of thing. I stopped enjoying it. That's why I stopped doing it. Just wasn't for me. Didn't like the way it made me feel the next day, 3-day hangover, so just stopped doing it.
You talked about how drinking is such a social thing in the UK. How was that in terms of stopping drinking, in terms of relating to your friends, your community and so on?
Yeah, it's difficult because everyone's socialised. Like I say, they drink, let's go to the pub, have a drink and socialise, but actually we don't need to do that. So you lose that circle of friends, I feel, just because it's alcohol related, and people look at you as, why aren't you the one drinking, when actually you should be looking the other way, I think. Why are you drinking and not drinking, if that makes sense?
And why do you think British people do drink so much?
It's just a culture thing, isn't it? And how do you change a culture? It takes a long time, I think, doesn't it, to turn things around. So I think people are just born into it. We celebrate birth with drink, don't we? Birthdays with drink, weddings with drink. So people just relate to, it's a culture thing.
How do you think it could be changed, or how would you like to see it changed?
Oh, that's a big question. How do you change it? It's difficult, isn't it? The amount of money they make from it. Alcohol-free drinks are becoming more popular, aren't they, actually? And I think maybe socialising with the alcohol-free drinks might be the step forward.
And how do you feel now with life without alcohol or less alcohol?
So much better, healthier, feel better for myself. I actually go out and socialise with people that are drinking when I don't drink, and I feel better. I take pride in it, thinking I'm going to feel fresh in the morning. I'll go home, I'll wake up in the morning, I'll go to the gym, I eat healthy, I'm just better for it.
And has there been any backlash from, say, family or friends or anyone else, and how have you dealt with that?
I wouldn't say backlash. I try and hang around with the same sort of people that have got the growth mindset as me, that want to, better themselves and not drink, and health and fitness. And I think finding those people that are into the same mindset as you will help you to grow positively.
Where are you from?
Woking.
Woking. Nice. All right, so I interview lots of foreigners who come to the UK, and I asked them, one thing that comes up about a British culture shock is how much British people drink. What do you think about that?
I wouldn't have thought we were the worst in the world by a long, long way, but we are social drinkers, that's for sure. That's how I see it anyway.
Well, me personally, I think there's nothing wrong with people drinking, but when it gets to the state in society where they're over drinking, causing trouble on the streets around, well, all cities, all towns. But I mean, the drinking culture many years ago, it was a case of going into a pub and being with a community, which is such an importance in this country. And it's very sad that all the pubs, I think if somebody said that over 2,000 pubs a month are closing down, and I think that's why there's more trouble out on the streets, because it was a social hub to go and, just sit there and have a couple of pints and, but I've belonged for a rugby club for over 25 years, and I'm not to say that I've had a few drinks, but my personality doesn't take me to getting into any trouble, but it's taken me to have a lot of fun, so that's how I think about it at the moment, really.
And how do you see it in Woking? Do you see lots of people, I guess, who binge drink or stumbling out of pubs, or not so much, or?
I used to. I think if we went back 15 years ago, I think there's a huge worry about that in Woking with some of the nightclubs that they had here, but that appears to have diminished now, which is, I think it's great for Woking, whether it's because of the monies or something, but whether it's more drugs on the streets, that could have something to do with it. That is one of our biggest worries here now. But I don't think it's as bad in Woking as what it used to be.
Yeah, used to, like a Saturday night and all that, used to be a bit more raucous, I think. I don't think it's so much like that now. I think that's because, not necessarily about the drinking culture, but about culture generally, where we live, who we spend our time with. And I think there's not that, or perhaps it's because I'm getting older, but it's not as wild as it used to be.
I don't think so. In certain parts of other cities, I think it is. It's things that you see on the news and things I've possibly seen on social media occasionally. There is some very unsocial things going on with heavy drinking.
Where are you from?
Woking.
Okay, nice. What do you think about British drinking culture and the fact foreigners say that British people drink so much, including day drinking?
I think it's the best drinking culture out of every country in the world. 100%. I mean, if you just go to a pub, a beer garden in the summer, it's just the best time of your life.
So you don't think British people drink too much?
Don't drink enough. No.
How often do you have a pint or you drink?
Well, because it's a World Cup, I'm drinking quite a lot. So I'm not much of a drinker personally, but I can appreciate a good pint at the pub, you know what I mean?
On average, how many times do you drink a week? Every day that ends in a Y?
You got me there, yeah. Nah. Maybe like once or twice a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
How often? How much do you drink in those 1-2 times a week?
It'll be like a couple. I won't take the piss with it.
What's your go-to?
You know what? Currently, I'm usually like my favourite is an Asahi, yeah. But currently, I'm on Budweiser. A Budweiser, I'm loving at the moment.
And so you don't think that there's a binge drinking culture in the UK? You don't see people stumbling out of pubs and that kind of thing? You think everyone drinks within moderation here?
No, not a chance. No. Yeah, you like whatever spoons you go to on a Saturday night. There's always something going on. There's always someone causing some kind of havoc. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's not controlled whatsoever. I don't think.
Why do you think British people drink so much?
Because I think people just like to let go a bit. Just. You know, I think British culture, especially in London, everyone is so to themselves and no one speaks, no one's sociable, everyone's to themselves. And I think once there's alcohol involved, everyone just likes to let loose. And I think that's just a way of how people get closer, just drinking and just saying, what's it called? What's the saying? Like drunk words are sober thoughts or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what it is, you know what I mean?
Do you find it's any different in Woking compared to London in terms of how much people drink?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I actually think London's probably more controlled.
Interesting.
Because I think in smaller towns, people let it go because there isn't much of... I think maybe in London it's more...
Restraint or...
Yeah, maybe. I think London's just a bit more strict.
Okay.
I think around here, you can get away with more because there's less police and less people around in general.
Something I've heard that comes up a lot is about the day drinking in the UK, but some people say British people don't day drink. What's your thoughts on that? Have you seen lots of day drinking? Is that a myth? Is it not?
Nah, there's a lot of day drinking, yeah, 100%. Now the World Cup is on especially.
And do you think it's mostly people who are working, people who aren't working? Because again, the next idea is that it's degenerates who are drinking during the day. I don't think it is. I think there's lots of office workers who have a pint or two, then go back to the office. What do you think?
100%. I don't think it's like a certain people. Like my dad, when he used to work in London, would go to the pub like on his break and stuff like that. Like I think it's just normal. It's part of it.
Any final comments about British drinking culture? Long may it live.
Come on, England. Come on, the World Cup. We're gonna win it this year. It's coming home, and I'm gonna get leathered when we do bring it home.
So where are you from?
I'm in Camberley, but I'm originally from Farnham.
What do you think about British drinking culture?
It's whatever anyone wants to do. It's who we are. And I personally only drink on special occasions like my birthday or like my sister's wedding or like just a family get together because I have a big family and they've really supported me. My parents have said don't drink too much, don't leave your drinks unattended because people can spike the drinks, and I feel like young people of any age should be more aware of other like drinks that people can spike them, and you've got to be so aware of what can happen to it because my friend's sister had that and she was in hospital because of it.
So do you think British people do drink too much?
I think they do. Like my dad says, if they're like the older generation, they would drink more. But younger people, I've noticed, haven't drank as much. So like me, I don't drink as much, but I only drink when I feel like I want to. Like if it's someone's birthday or something, that's the only time I will drink.
And how old are you?
I am 33.
Okay, so younger than your parents' generation and in between like the Gen Z, yeah?
Yes, and it's really good.
All right. And why do you think British people drink so much?
It's because that's how they were brought up probably, or their parents they've shown their children that's how you're meant to be. But I think personally that they shouldn't do that, and they should be aware that there are people with, say, like myself, who have learning disabilities that have to be careful of what they're drinking, because I suffer with like non-epileptic seizures, and sometimes if I drink too much, I think that can bring on one of my seizures. So I'm trying to make everyone aware of that, and I just feel like the British culture and like everyone in it should be more acceptive of other people and who they are and not judge them.
And so what would you like to see changed about the British drinking culture?
I just feel like people should be more aware that there are people who may not want to drink and it's their choice, and you shouldn't pressure other people to do stuff. And I was said to my mum, like, I was pressured once, and she said, who pressured you? I was like, a group of these guys that I didn't actually know. And I said to them, I didn't want to drink. I was only, 17 at the time, and they were trying to say, oh, drink this beer. And I was like, no, I'm 17 and I don't want to. And they were like, come on. I was like, no, it's my choice. And they're like, oh, no, it's not. I'm like, yes, it is. I'm a young adult still. I feel like I want to do this.
So that idea that if somebody says no, they don't want to drink, you just take that as their one time, and you don't try to kind of convince them to go on and keep drinking. I've had the same experience, like hour-long conversations with somebody trying to get me to drink after I've said I don't drink alcohol, which I find bizarre, because if it was the reverse, I'm sure they wouldn't give in. So yeah, it's one of those things. Any final comments about British drinking culture?
I just feel like people should be more aware of like what's in a drink. You have to like research it, because I researched it once with my sister, and we were like really shocked at what was in it, because it's like if it's something local, it's what's in it. Like for instance, like for me, I'm Farnham originally, but I know the Hogsback Brewery, they have their own hops, and I know that it's safe because my dad drinks it, and I just feel like he understands what's in it because he's seen it, and I feel like that's more like what I think the whole of Britain should be aware that they should try and buy what's locally made.
Where are you from?
I am from Buckinghamshire.
What do you think about the British drinking culture?
Well, it's interesting actually, because I grew up in the States, in the US, and of course you can't drink till you're 21 there, and you come here and people are already drinking at 15, 16. I moved back when I was 15, and I think my parents took a more liberal approach to drinking than, say, some of my US counterpart friends' parents did, because of that age difference. And we came back and we would go to places like France, and there'd be a little bit of wine and water situation going on. So I'd say I started drinking around 16. I'd never have got away with that in America in the same way. But I also think I didn't go on benders, because I just sort of slowly eased into it. And if anything, in recent years, my son, who's 22, doesn't drink. My daughter, who is at university, she's 20, she doesn't drink very much. So what I see is kids don't drink anywhere near as much now as we used to. And I certainly didn't drink that much compared to some of my US counterparts, because I had a slow ease into it.
Okay, so it sounds like you've had easing into, as you said, in life in terms of alcohol and drinking. But how do you think it is in general in the UK?
I mean, I do think we have a drinking culture, and I think particularly around the big events like tonight is the football. And we all know that if we go out on the streets tonight, having watched England in the World Cup win, then, we're likely to see some drunk people rolling around, hopefully in a good mood. But if it's not gone England's way, possibly a bit fighty. And so for me tonight, I wouldn't come out, because I know that there will be people out and about who've been drinking an awful lot because of that. But then there are really nice events. I go to a lot of the big summer season stuff, like I'll go to Ascot, I'm going to Henley in a couple of weeks' time. I normally go to Wimbledon. And if there's not a Pimm's or a glass of champagne in my hand, I feel a bit cheated.
So that's a really great insight. It seems like the nature of the drinking, the event that's taking place, kind of determines how people behave. And from just based on what you said, if it's football, it can be incredibly raucous, even violent. But you have something like the tennis or Ascot, which is horse racing, right? Yeah. And it's a bit more, well, for a better word, dignified, relaxed. Why is there such that kind of culture of drinking to, I guess, being raucous and violent with football, but not with the other sports?
I don't know. I don't want to cast aspersions on football fans. I would say that I've been at Henley and I've seen some really drunken nonsense there. Okay. So that's the rowing. So I don't think it necessarily tracks that it's one sport or another. But what I would say is I feel like football fans particularly like a drink. And if the result, which they're so in tune with, doesn't go their way, often drink can turn you violent, can't it? It can make you happy. In my house, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this for you, but we have a thing called shit day champagne, where we keep a bottle to one side. So if you have a really, really terrible day, that's when we might open a glass of champagne, because that makes you happy, right? Okay. But sometimes for some people, drinking makes them unhappy or angry or violent. And I think that if I think there might be a situation where it might be volatile on the streets, that's when I would avoid going out to pubs.
Why do you think British people do, on average, drink so much? Because you mentioned in the States, like, it's not the same as that. You don't start at such a young age, and then they don't maybe never binge drink as much. Why is there such that culture of drinking in the UK compared to other places? It seems you had that comparison.
I think for what I saw, access and also, geography, actually. Because in Britain, of course, we've got much more in the way of public transport, so you can get out and about and you can easily get home. I mean, even if you take an Uber, it's not that far to getting home. Whereas certainly where I grew up in the North Hills of Pittsburgh, it was a long, long way. And there is no public transport. We don't have the trains, we don't have the tube, we don't have the buses. years. And back in my day, Uber wasn't a thing either. So you were only going to be able to go out drinking en masse if someone was driving. And so I think that makes a massive difference. And also, you know, it's not like we have the pub culture in America that we have here in Britain. Pubs are a big part of our British identity, aren't they? And in America, yes, there are bars, but they tend to be in cities. They're not so much in rural or kind of residential locations.
So there's a counter argument to that, in that pubs used to be this place where people go to for community, not to get drunk, just to kind of come together, have a pint or two. Literally, that's what someone has said in this video. But you've said because there's so many pubs and like that there's such accessibility to pubs, that actually then goes towards over drinking and binge drinking.
Well, I think it taps into our culture of drinking being a part of our persona, a part of our identity, doesn't it? And I just think that sometimes people kind of go too far, but then on the other side of things, we have a lot of younger people now not drinking as much as we did in previous generations. So that's really interesting itself. I mean, I live in a really beautiful and very lucky chocolate box village, and we had a pub and it wasn't great for a long time. And a few years ago, it got taken over and done up. And now it is again the heart of the village. So if we have meetings or we have community events, the pub is the heart of that. So you will see people drinking, but they're doing it in a convivial way. One or two, a nice chat with your friends and neighbours, and then you go home.
I think that's the way it should be. And I think when I go to the pub and I have pub experiences, that's the one that's the most pleasant, as opposed to seeing the person stumbling out. You wonder if they're going to make it home safe or they're going to end up fighting somebody and who knows what. I think what you just said is kind of the ideal of how the drinking and the pub culture should be. So how, I guess finally, would you like to see drinking culture in the UK change, if at all?
I think that middle ground, you know, I think where my son absolutely won't even have a glass of champagne to sort of toast a family moment or a big celebration, which is fine and it's his right. You know, I think maybe you could just have a tiny, tiny bit, whereas he feels it's sort of all or nothing and there's something negative about drinking and it's not good for your health necessarily and all those things. I would say that's had a good impact on me because him being teetotal means that we don't drink as much in our house. So when the four of us are together, for instance, we won't all have a drink because he doesn't drink and we don't want him to feel uncomfortable or left out, so that's good. There's a really great sketch from a great comedy duo from a few years ago, Armstrong and Miller, where they talk about this peak moment of having a glass and a half of wine and just keeping it at that level, and if you go over 2 glasses you get a bit fighty and if you're under you're still a bit nervous and all those kind of things, and that feels right to me. It feels like a nice glass, like you and I go to the pub together, we're catching up, we have a little chat, we're nice and loose, but we're not angry, we're not drunk, we're not incapable of speech or thinking our kind of thoughts, and having a wonderful time together.
Hi everyone, my name is Korede and I'm embarking on an exciting challenge going from 6,000 subscribers to 10,000 subscribers in 1 month. I need your help to achieve this. I am a YouTuber, I make great exciting videos, traveling, asking people about hot topics. You can check out my videos, subscribe, follow, share and like. Let's hit this target of 10,000 subscribers in 1 month. Together we can do this. Let the internet unite and let's make this happen.